I think it goes without saying that in order to have love in this world, you also have to have hate. It's like a yin and yang, one can't exist without the other, and boy do people love to hate. Whether it be music, TV shows, movies, and yes, especially Pokemon. And it got my mind thinking. I did a video recently about Pokemon that everybody loves, but what about the Pokemon that everyone hates? What Pokemon are out there that the vast majority of people despise? And well, today, I'm here to answer said question by giving you guys the top 5 Pokemon that everybody hates. Now, of course, not every Pokemon on this list is hated by everyone, because that's literally impossible to have, but these 5 Pokemon are some of the most infamously hated in the entire series by a vast majority of the community.
If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And with that being said, let's get started.
Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have a Pokemon that has been the bane of my existence since its introduction in Generation 4. Male Combee. Now, if this were a list of Pokemon that I personally hate, then this Pokemon would be way higher up the list. Just look at this video here if you need any proof of that, but since this is about everybody's opinion, I've decided to have it just barely make the list. The reason why I decided to put it lower on the list is because I feel that Male Combee is kind of underrated in terms of hate, as not a lot of people even really remember this Pokemon. But for those who do remember this hot piece of garbage, they can go on for days as to why this Pokemon sucks literal ass. Firstly, if we take a look at purely its design, you can't argue how dumb and stupid it looks. Objectively, it's literally just a honeycomb with wings and 3 stupid f***ing faces on it. But not only does its design look trash, but stat-wise, Combee is just as bad, if not even worse. I mean, just look at it. How can anyone work with this? Look, when literally speed is your only stat over 50, you know the only thing this idiot is useful for is cannon fodder. Not only that, but look at the moves. Sweet Scent, Gust, Bug Bite? I mean, what the hell is this? Sure, Bug Buzz is a great move, but you don't actually get that move until level 29, and by that time, you should already have a Vespiquen. Oh yeah, but that doesn't really matter since the only way to get a Vespiquen is to have a female Combee. Yes, that means if you have a male Combee, you're essentially stuck with it for the rest of eternity. I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy. But honestly, this wouldn't be that much of a problem, right? I mean, how hard is it to catch a female Combee? Well, considering that the gender ratio is about 12% female, let's just say you're going to be spending a long time slathering honey on trees. Now, this may sound contradictory towards my stance on Salandit and Salazzle, but Salandit by itself doesn't take hours to get, as well as the fact that you are able to SOS chain them. This just makes the process of finding a female Salandit, or even a Salazzle, much faster and easier to do. Plus, Salandit is just a better design, let's face it. So yeah, it's much more annoying with Combee. I mean, can you imagine shiny hunting this thing? Like, that would ruin my soul if I spent hours trying to get a shiny Combee only for it to be the useless male one. Honestly, f*** this thing. When it comes to legendary Pokemon, they're always viewed as larger-than-life beings that can pretty much destroy anything without breaking a sweat. And in most cases, that reigns to be true with the likes of Rayquaza, Mewtwo, Dialga, Palkia, Zekrom, and of course, the Titans. But one of, if not the biggest disappointment out of all of the legendaries to be introduced to the series has to be none other than the King of the Titans, Regigigas. I mean, it's just not good, is it? Regigigas was hyped up to be this absolute monster by Game Freak, telling us that it moved continents and created the Regi Trio. And when you take a look at its stats, it definitely seems to look like that's the case. I mean, base 160 attack and no stat lines besides special attack under 100, where could you go wrong here? And well, there's 2 words you need to know. Slow Start. For those who don't know, Slow Start is an ability that halves the attack and speed stats of Regigigas for 5 whole turns. So that jaw-dropping 160 base stat is pretty much useless for 5 turns, and that's plenty of time for people to capitalize on that and take it out. I mean, I know Game Freak had to nerf this Pokemon, but did you seriously have to make it that weak? It's literally unusable. And I have to say, it's also kind of sad when your own creations, Regirock, Registeel, and Regice, are literally stronger and more useful than you. Like, how is that possible? Look, I know I might sound like a broken record at this point, but I have to say it again. It's just so disheartening that Game Freak hyped up Regigigas to be this all-powerful god that can move continents and create powerful life with the Regis, but then bring it down as low as it possibly can go with this dumb ability. If you're gonna make a god, make a freaking god. Don't disappoint us like this. So we all know how much Gen 5 gets ragged on for having bad Pokemon, so you gotta know that at least one of them were going to show up on this list. And since there are so many that are hated from the Pokemon Black and White games, I've decided to limit the amount of Gen 5 Pokemon to just one. That may not make sense in the grand scheme of things, but it's my list and I do what I want. And with that said, this next Pokemon may sound contradictory considering it was in last week's video, but yes, even though I like Garbo Durr as a Pokemon, I can't deny the amount of hate this Pokemon receives. You cannot go a single worst Pokemon list on the internet without seeing this thing make an appearance. I mean, out of all of the quote-unquote bad Pokemon that came from Unova, most of them, to people, have some redeeming qualities. With the Elemental Monkeys, it's that Simisage looks pretty cool, and with Vanillux, it's got some tie-ins to American culture, but Garbo Durr, literally nothing about this Pokemon is redeeming. It's ugly, it's garbage, and, well, it's f***ing ugly. Even though that's kind of the point, people are repulsed by how much gross detail there is on Garbo Durr's design. I will say though, the pigtails and mouth can be a little much at times too, and the gross noodle fingers that shoot out liquids is just, it's just disgusting. But at the end of the day, it's a Pokemon based on trash, and like it or not, people don't like looking at trash, and that's why naturally it's always thrown out. And I gotta say, I don't blame people for not liking a Pokemon who's just glorified trash. Even though I like it, I can see where people dislike it. Garbo Durr also symbolizes what is perceived by a lot of people to be one of the weakest generations in terms of Pokemon designs and ideas. And a lot of Gen 5 lovers hate that because Garbo Durr is always used against them whenever someone tries to argue how bad these games were. It also doesn't help that Garbo Durr isn't the greatest Pokemon to use competitively. Without even that, people just continue to call this Pokemon useless, and to be honest, I feel bad for the guy. Who knows though, maybe one day people will grow to love Garbo Durr, but I honestly doubt it. Now I know we talked about how disappointing Regigigas was, but this next Pokemon on the list somehow finds a way to even top it. I mean, when it comes to disappointments, I can't say there's any bigger one than the Unknown. I mean, do we really have to go into it? These things have to be the most useless Pokemon in the entire franchise. They're weak, they know one move, and they have very uninspired designs. I mean, they're literally just letters and punctuation marks, nothing much else to them. Sure, they didn't need to be amazing design-wise, and not everything needs to be competitively sound, but can they at least have some value in the game? I remember watching the third Pokemon movie with Entei and the Unknown, and saw how powerful all of them were and thought, hey, maybe catching all of them would mean something. I mean, they're important enough to get their own movie, they gotta at least have some relevance in the game, right? Nope. They don't. I spent days trying to catch all of the Unknown, thinking that it would unlock some super secret special event, but no, I just wasted days of my life. And I know this is something other people did as well, as I see many posts online from people complaining about how worthless and useless these stupid things are. And considering you had to solve a puzzle to even find these things just adds up to it being a giant waste of time. Seriously, Game Freak, what was the point of all of this? As Einstein once said, only 3 things are infinite: the universe, human stupidity, and Zubats in caves. Yes, the #1 Pokemon that everybody and their mother hates has to be Zubat. Now honestly, there isn't much to explain here, as it's pretty much self-explanatory. Ever since the Gen 1 game, Zubat has always been a thorn in people's side simply because of how often you run into this Pokemon in the wild, especially when traversing through a long and annoying cave like Mount Moon or Rock Tunnel. And at these points in the game, you're likely not going to have much money, as you just haven't battled enough, or you've spent most of it on Pokeballs and potions. So it's almost guaranteed you won't have many repels to fend off these terrors of the dark. I mean, look at these numbers. You have a 79% chance to run into Zubat in Mount Moon and a 55% chance in Rock Tunnel. That's absolutely insane. And if there's the off chance you don't have Flash and you get lost in Rock Tunnel, you could have to deal with this for a really long time. And it's not just in the original Kanto games. Almost every single Pokemon game ever made has Zubat appearing at least once, but usually more. It's literally been torturing multiple generations of players, old and new. And if that wasn't bad enough, in the only games that Zubat doesn't appear in, being Black and White, we were cursed with its Unova counterpart in Woobat, who appears pretty much just as often in caves as Zubat. No matter where you go or what games you play, you cannot escape its curse. And even when you try to fight them off, they constantly hit you with annoying moves like Leech Life, Supersonic, Astonish, and Confuse Ray. I'm honestly convinced this Pokemon was 100% made with the intent to drive players insane, and I'm willing to bet anything that the majority of fans would agree. There's no denying it, Zubat has to be the most hated Pokemon of all time.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and become an Eryizo today.
If you want to check out the previous video I did, be sure to click the annotation on the left. If you want to see more Pokemon Let's Go videos, click the other annotation on the right. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.